Forged from Iron is proud to support Iron Supporting Food Banks. They are a group of West Ham United fans and friends inspired by the work of other football fan food banks around the country. They collect food and cash donations from Newham Food Bank in Beckton, who supply 7 distribution centres in the borough, 7 days a week, and hand out several hundred 3-day emergency food packs every month to families in need. They are also working with other groups to improve conditions for vulnerable adults and children in the Newham community. They are supported in their efforts by West Ham United Football Club, the WHU Foundation, LS185, London Legacy Development Corporation, Newham Council, the Met Police, Spire London East Hospital, Expedient Security, and a large number of West Ham and football fans. You can help by making a donation to their Just Giving page. You will find the link to this in the description section of the video details in this stream. Thank you for your support. Come on, you Irons. West Ham United captain and England World Cup star Declan Rice yesterday gave an interview to the assembled media hordes in Qatar, and I'm going to bring you the excerpt of the question that was put to him and his response.
Hi Dec, Mark Bryan from PA. You mentioned your teammates have played biggest games, they've won the biggest trophies. You're now playing in the World Cup for the first time. Do all of those things give you a hunger to be, challenging for Premier Leagues, for playing in Champions Leagues, things like that?
Yeah, 100%. I think for the last 2-3 years, I've been saying that. I've been playing consistently well for the club, and I feel like I really want to, keep pushing. Like you said, I see my friends here who are playing Champions League, winning the big trophies. You only get one career, and at the end of your career, you want to look back and by what you've won and the biggest games you've played in. And I'm really ambitious, and I really want to do that.
So there you are. So Declan Rice asked a very simple question about his ambition of challenging for Premier Leagues and Champions League trophies, and he gave an answer that probably most of us that know Declan Rice and have an idea about his mindset, his mentality, his attitude. Probably not really a surprise, to be perfectly honest with you. He's turned around and said that he has ambitions to challenge for the very highest honours, and I think that any footballer that's worth their salt, anyone that has that sort of elite level capability about them, which in my opinion Declan Rice absolutely does, then I think that they should be wanting to challenge for Premier Leagues, wanting to challenge for Champions Leagues, wanting to represent their country at World Cups. Well, he's representing his country at the World Cup as a West Ham player, having previously represented his country at a European Championship we got to the final and got within a penalty shootout of winning, it has to be said. But are we at a point now, are we West Ham and indeed Declan Rice, are we at a critical intersect in terms of whether we go left or whether we go right? He's obviously intimated he wants to be challenging for the highest honours. Are West Ham able to do that? Well, obviously, you look at our position in the league table right now, and you've got to say absolutely not. Have we ever been a club that has challenged for Premier League trophies, Champions League trophies? Well, we've never qualified for the Champions League. So in terms of the Champions League, we don't have a history of that. In terms of challenging for Premier League titles, well, let's be completely honest, whenever it's got to the business end of the Premier League, we've never been there. The only time we've ever contested for a league title really was 1985-86 season, which was pre-Premier League, and a lot of people don't really remember it. It was before Declan Rice was even born, so probably Declan Rice doesn't even he would be aware of it, obviously, but he has no living memory of that particular history of the club unfolding. Now, we were at a point, I mean, we've got 2 years in the summer. We have 2 years left on his contract. Technically, it's 1. His contract technically runs out in the summer of 2024, but the club can activate an extra year. Obviously, they're going to do that. Why wouldn't they? But can we afford to let that contract run down a further year, or maybe keep him to the end of his contract? Can West Ham as a club afford to do that? To let an asset who, and let's not forget that both David Sullivan and David Moyes have said 100 million. I think David Moyes actually said north of 100 million maybe a year ago. Now, I'm hearing figures that they're saying about in the summer he might even go for 70 million pounds. So that's changed quite drastically. I appreciate that his contract now has less to run on it than when that quote came out, but that's quite a drop, it has to be said. Can West Ham really afford to keep him? Can we afford to hold him to his contract, or even get another year out of him once we get to the summer? Probably not. Probably not. Let's be completely honest about it. And Declan Rice is a very, this is not about money. I mean, we've offered him multiple times contracts where we've offered to make him the highest paid player at the club, and for reasons best known to Declan Rice, he has turned them down. Mark Noble was on with, I think it was with Jordan and White and Jordan on TalkSport. It might have been the Breakfast Show with Laura Woods. I can't remember now, but there was an excerpt that's out there on the internet on YouTube, where Mark Noble, who obviously knows Declan Rice very well from their time together at the club, has turned around and said that Declan Rice is not a money-driven person. He's not motivated by pound notes. They're a happy byproduct of him achieving his goals in life. Winning sort of England caps, winning medals. That's what he wants to do. He said it himself in that interview. It is a short career. Most footballers are retired probably about by their mid-30s, and you want to look back on your career with some sort of pride. And as I say, if you're an elite level player, which like I say, in my opinion, Declan Rice is, even at the age of 23, he's still got some improving, but he's already an elite level player. He wants to be able to look back on his career when it's done in the next 10, 12 years thereabouts, and look at a trophy cabinet that's burgeoning with medals, burgeoning with cups, caps, whatever. So can he achieve that at West Ham? I think with regret, no, he can't. Can we afford to let a player who not long ago we were talking about as £100 million player plus, can we afford to let that player go for a relative pittance compared to that, or indeed for nothing if we hold him to the end of his contract, which is currently in the summer of 2025? Should we activate that extra year, which, well, let's be honest, there's no reason to think that West Ham as a club wouldn't. I don't think we can. I really don't think that we as a club can afford to let an asset of that magnitude go for nothing, or for relatively little fee. So I think that with regret, although Declan Rice hasn't in words turned around and said, I want out of West Ham United, I can't stay at West Ham United, and my ambitions outstrip the club, I think that if you read between the lines, you can probably work out that is basically what he's trying to say in the nicest way possible. I think that Declan Rice has a level of respect, a level of love for the club, for the fans, for the hierarchy at the club, that wouldn't allow him to outright come out and say probably what he did say without saying it yesterday, and probably what we all in our heart of hearts knows, that he has ambitions that are loftier than West Ham can really ever hope to achieve. We don't have, like I say, a record of challenging for Premier Leagues. We've never qualified for the Champions League, let alone challenged for it. And this is a player that has openly admitted that that's what he wants to do. Ambition is what drives Declan Rice, not money. That, I say, that's why he's turned down the contracts that he's been offered that would have made him the highest paid player at the club. Ambition is the reason why, having represented the Republic of Ireland at youth grade levels, and indeed getting 3 caps at full international level, although they were friendlies, when push came to shove, he had a decision to make, England or the Republic of Ireland, and he chose England because he obviously looked at the Republic of Ireland. He looked at the players that they had at their disposal. He looked at the youth grade players that were sort of coming up through the ranks. He looked at England's equivalent, and he obviously realised that his ambitions of playing in World Cups, in playing in European Championships, and indeed being there at the business end, were best served by him changing his allegiances to England. I'm sure that wasn't an easy decision for Declan Rice to make. I'm sure that he agonised over that, but I think most people would probably say that even if you were Irish, and I am half Irish actually, but you have to sort of look at it and put emotion to one side and from an ambition point of view, say that England was the right choice in terms of him being able to fulfill his ambitions. So if we then flip that to club situation, he has obviously a lot of love for West Ham United, as he did for the Republic of Ireland. But can he hope to achieve his ambitions at West Ham United? Premier Leagues, Champions Leagues, and all the rest of it? Like I say, absolutely not. Can we afford to let a player of Declan Rice's stature go for nothing or for 30, 40 million? No. So I think with regret, Declan Rice, I'm afraid, does need to be sold. The question obviously then becomes, do we sell him in the January transfer window or do we wait until the summer? I think that if Declan Rice was of the mindset, if he was of the mentality that maybe his performances would be anything less than exemplary when he comes back from the World Cup and he's just going to go through the motions, then I think I would be saying, I think we need to cash in now. I think we need to try and get in as much value as we can to allow David Moyes, or indeed whoever is the manager at the time, the funds to be able to reinvest that in the transfer market and do what Spurs did when Gareth Bale went to Real Madrid. They reinvested that money. Whether you think they reinvested it wisely or not is obviously a matter of opinion, but they reinvested that money and they built and reconstructed the squad going forwards. I don't think, though, that in all honesty, that we're going to get that Declan Rice comeback from the World Cup. Declan Rice this season, he's had a couple of games at the very early part of the season where he wasn't at his very top level. But I think that when you look at what he's produced in the last few games before the World Cup, you can see that his running stats, his tackling, his interceptions, and just his leadership qualities are really coming to the fore. They're there for all to see. So personally, I hope that Declan Rice does stay till the summer. I hope that Declan Rice, fingers crossed, can sign out for West Ham on a high, that he can lift the Europa Conference League trophy, giving West Ham fans their first trophy since 1980, their first European trophy since 1965, and walking out of the London Stadium a hero, possibly even a legend, maybe. And I would hope that when he comes back to West Ham latterly, whatever club he goes to, and let's be honest about it, he can have his pick of any club in world football. I think that personally, if I had to put money on it, I think he's going to Chelsea. But the talk is that they're not in pole position, and that there's other people, that other clubs that may be in prime position to snatch him as and when he becomes available. But I think that I'd like to see that when Declan Rice comes back to London Stadium, I'd like to see him get a good reception. I'd like to see him be received as a returning hero, one of the family coming back to where it all began, and that we wish him well in his career. Not for the match. I would not wish him any success whilst he's in an opposition shirt, but I think that Declan Rice, being an elite level player, being a player that came through our academy, which is something that I and most West Ham fans, I feel, of my generation, have a great affinity towards. And the fact that he's come through our academy process from the age of 14 upwards, and that we've produced a player of that caliber, I think is something that reflects well on the academy, or that was operating at the time. Obviously, now maybe not. Who knows what's going on currently? But obviously, when he came through the academy at that point, it was obviously operating at a decent level to obviously produce a player that's come through and has played in the European Championship final. He's at the World Cup currently, last 16 as I record this. And I hope that Declan Rice comes back as a returning hero, whatever club he's playing for, comes back like Rio Ferdinand did back in the day when he came back with Leeds United after he left West Ham. He was received as a returning hero. I don't want him to be received as a bit of a pantomime villain like Frank Lampard when he came back with Chelsea after he left. I think that Declan Rice will leave in the right way. I don't think Declan Rice will leave the club on bad terms. I don't think there'll be any rancor or any bitterness on either side. I hope that Declan Rice can fulfill his short-term ambition with West Ham, which is obviously to win the Conference League, keep West Ham in the Premier League, which is not a sentence I thought I'd be saying at the beginning of this season, but that's where we are currently. So, your ambitions, your focus changes during the course of a season as the terrain changes, and that he comes back and his career thereafter is the stellar career, and he has Premier Leagues and Champions League medals in the cupboard for him to look back on in many years to come.